The hashtag delete Facebook is trending on Twitter today after reports that the social media giant will not interfere with any political ads on its platform, even fake ones. It's a move that's creating a lot of controversy as campaign 2020 heats up. And you're looking at, of course, CEO Mark Zuckerberg there, LMU law professor Jessica Levinson here joining me over Skype to talk about this and why Facebook, Jessica, is refusing to follow the path that other companies like Google and Twitter are taking by limiting or banning these political ads.
Facebook has taken a very strong position. They've said this is the First Amendment. We're not going to police speech. And the First Amendment does protect both truths and lies. And Facebook has, in some ways, kind of distanced itself from other social media companies, saying we're not going to have a so-called truth squad. And today, just this morning on Facebook, I saw a lot of people saying, basically, I'll see you on another social network. I don't want to be here anymore if they're not going to police what's true and what's not true.
Well, we saw what happened during the 2016 election, right, with Russian interference and trying to just cause a lot of unrest.
Absolutely. This is actually such an important issue because if you ask people who are about to become a really big voting bloc, where do you get your information? A lot of them say not just online, but also on social media. A lot of people look at Facebook. How many times just anecdotally have we heard someone say, well, I read it on Facebook, or one of my friends posted it on Facebook? This is one of the hardest questions I get from my students, which is, well, if I see something on Facebook, can I trust it? If somebody put it there, then it must have some truth to it. We know that this sways voters. That's why people do it. And we know that this has actually become an important campaign issue. We've seen presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren talk at length about the problems with Facebook not saying this is true, this is a lie. She actually took out an ad on Facebook that was a lie to try and prove her point as to why this was so problematic.
Wow. Okay, that leads me to this question then. Facebook instead, they're saying that they're going to provide all this background information about every single ad. And they've even created, I just saw it pop up, this ad library. But it's up to the user to go find that stuff.
Yes, this is such an interesting corollary, for instance, when it comes to campaign disclosure. And so what campaign finance law essentially tries to do is give the voters as much information as they can. So we provide voters, for instance, with information about who's funding candidates. We provide voters with information about whether or not an ad is from a candidate itself or from an outside group. And so Facebook in some ways is trying to mimic that, saying, well, we'll give you a lot of information, but the burden is on you. And we know from campaign finance law, we know from existing forms of how political campaigns advertise that often is not effective. I mean, the truth is that most of us barely have kind of the time, energy, and resources to just click through the ads, let alone go through and try and essentially read the footnotes, reference to see whether or not something is correct. So disclosure is a step, transparency is a step, but it doesn't solve the problem of misinformation.
Right, exactly. Tell me more about micro-targeting, because that seems to be one of the points of contention here and the concern around micro-targeting.
So micro-targeting, I will say this as a law professor, not as someone who's intimately involved with social media and how one uses micro-targeting for campaigns, but micro-targeting essentially allows you to do just that. It allows a campaign to try and target certain types of users, for instance, people who are likely voters, people for whom certain issues are important, people in certain geographic areas. You can essentially go through somebody's Facebook profile, try and say, I want to find a soccer mom in West Los Angeles who cares about climate change. And you can specifically target ads to those people, unlike, for instance, television ads, where it's just a barrage. There's nothing kind of personalized about it. And so this idea of micro-targeting, it means that ads are more effective, they're geared towards you, and if campaigns are trying to lie, essentially to tell falsehoods, I think it's even more damaging because it's aimed at you and the type of thing you care about.
Yeah, and CEO Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, he's argued political speech is important, and that's why he's moving in this direction. But again, we're not going to see these political ad controls. They're not even going to roll out in the U.S. until early summer. Until then, I guess it's just up. Yeah, again, like you said, it's up to the user to figure out what's true and what's not.
Well, and it's really interesting. People always say political speech, First Amendment. The First Amendment protects us against government intrusions. So the state, Congress, they are not supposed to tell us what we can say, what we can't say, or even if we're forced to speak. The First Amendment does not address whether or not Facebook can determine what content they want. Facebook has all the power in the world to say, we will post this, we won't post this. They've made a policy decision that they don't want to do that. They don't want to get into the business of these kind of content-based restrictions, which frankly, they already make these decisions for other types of posts. But they basically said, we're washing our hands of this. We don't want to get involved in this. Who's the loser in this case? I think it's the people who are looking at the ads, not knowing that what they're seeing might not be accurate, and therefore affecting such an important decision they make, which is who will be their representative.
Great insight. Law professor Jessica Levinson with me over Skype. Thanks so much for the time.